The day my sister Laura told me I wasn't really family because I'd never married was also the day I remembered what Grandma Isabel had whispered to me on her deathbed. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Peyton, and until last Tuesday, I thought being a successful architect at 34 meant I had my life together. I was wrong. "You can't be serious," I said, staring at the papers Laura had thrust into my hands. We were sitting in her pristine kitchen, the afternoon sun streaming through windows I'd actually designed for her renovation last year. "You're cutting me out of your will because I'm single?" Laura smoothed her silk blouse, a gesture she'd perfected over years of delivering uncomfortable truths. "It's not just about being single, Peyton. It's about legacy, family. When I'm gone, I want my assets going to people who understand the importance of carrying on our traditions." "I'm your sister." My voice cracked. "How does my marital status change that?" "Look around you." Laura gestured to the family photos lining her walls. "Wilfred and I have built something here. What have you built besides other people's houses?" The familiar ache of never quite measuring up burned in my chest. "I've built a career, a life. Just because it doesn't fit your cookie-cutter version of success." "Don't start." Laura cut me off. "Mom agrees with me. You're 34, Peyton. No husband, no kids, not even a serious relationship since that disaster with Marcus 3 years ago." I stood up so quickly my chair scraped against the tile. "Leave Marcus out of this. And Mom? Of course she agrees with you. She's been planning our wedding since we were in diapers. She just wants what's best for us," Laura said, her voice softening in that patronizing way that made me want to scream. Remember what Grandma Isabel always said about family being everything? That's when it hit me. Grandma Isabel's last words, whispered to me alone in that hospital room 6 months ago. The truth about our family, in my blue box, would change everything. I'd forgotten about it until now, dismissed it as the ramblings of a woman on morphine. But Grandma had been lucid that day, her eyes sharp as she'd gripped my hand. "You know what?" I said, gathering my purse. "Grandma Isabel also taught me that family isn't just about who you marry. It's about who you love." Laura rolled her eyes. "Don't dramatize this. It's a practical decision." "Practical?" I laughed, but it came out hollow. "Was it practical when I stayed up 3 nights straight redesigning your kitchen for free? When I helped Wilfred plan your surprise anniversary party? When I—" "Peyton." Wilfred's voice came from the doorway, making us both jump. He stood there awkwardly, briefcase in hand. "I didn't know you were coming over." "I was just leaving," I said, brushing past him. "Apparently I'm not family enough to stick around." "Laura," I heard him say behind me. "What did you do?" I was halfway to my car when Laura called after me. "You're being childish. This is exactly why—" I spun around. "Why what? Why I don't deserve to be acknowledged as your sister?" "You know what's childish? Thinking that a piece of paper and a white dress somehow make you more worthy of family." "That's not what this is about." "Then what is it about?" I demanded, keys cutting into my palm as I clenched them. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're punishing me for living my life differently than yours." Laura's face flushed. "I'm protecting our family's values." "Values?" I scoffed. "Like what Grandma Isabel valued." Something flickered across Laura's face. Uncertainty. Maybe fear. "What's that supposed to mean?" I thought about the blue box, about Grandma's secret, and suddenly I knew exactly what I needed to do. "Nothing," I said, getting into my car. "Nothing at all. Yet." As I drove away, I called Cousin Rosie. She answered on the second ring. "Remember when you said you'd help me go through Grandma's things?" I asked, turning onto the highway. "I need that help now." "Finally!" Rosie exclaimed. "I've been waiting for you to ask. When?" I checked my rearview mirror, half expecting to see Laura following me. "Tonight. There's something specific we need to find. A blue box." "Does this have anything to do with Laura?" Mom mentioned she was making changes to her will. "Let's just say," I replied, a plan already forming in my mind, that Grandma Isabel might have left us the key to changing everything. As I headed home, I couldn't shake the memory of Grandma's knowing smile that last day, or the way she'd squeezed my hand 3 times, our secret code for I love you since I was little. She'd known this day would come, known I'd need her help one last time. Well, Laura wanted to talk about family legacy. I was about to show her exactly what that meant. As we take a brief pause, we'd love to know where you're watching from today. Drop your location in the comments below. Now, back to our story. That's the 3rd box of letters we've gone through. Rosie sighed, brushing dust from her jeans. Still no sign of anything blue. We sat cross-legged in my grandmother's attic, surrounded by decades of family history. The space smelled of cedar and old paper, and the setting sun cast long shadows through the single window. It has to be here somewhere, I said, pulling another box closer. Grandma Isabel wouldn't have mentioned it if... I stopped mid-sentence, lifting out a yellowed envelope. What is it? Rosie scooted closer. Look at the date. I turned the envelope over. 1952. And it's addressed to my dearest Isabella, not Isabel. Rosie frowned. I thought Grandma always went by Isabel. She did. I carefully opened the envelope, its seal long since weakened by time. Inside was a photograph that made my breath catch. Rosie, look at this. The black and white image showed a younger version of my grandmother, but she wasn't alone. A striking woman stood beside her, their hands clasped tightly together. They were both laughing at something off camera, looking more carefree than I'd ever seen in our family albums. Who's that with her? Rosie asked, taking the photo for a closer look. No idea, but check out what's written on the back. Rosie flipped it over. Isabella and Maria, Florence. That's all it says. I've never heard of any Maria, I said, digging deeper into the box. And why Florence? Our family didn't move to Italy until... Peyton? A voice called from downstairs. Are you up there? I froze. Mom? Footsteps creaked on the stairs, and moments later, my mother's face appeared through the attic hatch. What are you two doing here? Laura called me. She's worried sick about... She stopped, eyes fixing on the photograph in Rosie's hands. Mom? I watched her face pale. Do you know who Maria is? She climbed the rest of the way up, moving with unusual hesitation. Where did you find that? In this box of letters. Mom, what's going on? She sat down heavily on an old trunk. I never thought... Your grandmother made me promise never to tell anyone. Tell anyone what? Rosie and I asked in unison. Mom reached for the photo, hands trembling slightly. Maria was... She was your grandmother's first love, before she met your grandfather. The attic fell silent except for the distant sound of traffic outside. First love? I repeated. You mean, they met in Florence when your grandmother was studying art. It was a different time, you understand. These things weren't... accepted. Holy shit, Rosie whispered. I thought about all the times Grandma Isabel had defended me when Laura or Mom criticized my lifestyle choices, the knowing looks she'd give me during family dinners when marriage came up. Did Grandpa know? Mom nodded slowly. He knew. He loved your grandmother enough to give her away to be part of both worlds. They had an understanding. Does Laura know any of this? No one knows except me. And now you two. Mom looked at me sharply. Whatever you're thinking, Peyton. I'm thinking about family. I cut in. About how Grandma lived with this secret her whole life because of traditional values. The same values Laura's using to push me away. That's different. Mom protested, but her voice lacked conviction. Is it? I stood up, renewed purpose flooding through me. Where's the blue box, Mom? The one Grandma mentioned before she died? She blinked. How do you know about that? She told me to find it. Said it would change everything. Mom was quiet for a long moment, then... It's not here. It's in Tuscany, in the old family villa. She left it there last summer before... She didn't finish the sentence. Then that's where I'm going. I pulled out my phone, already searching for flights. Peyton, wait. Mom grabbed my arm. There are things in that box. Letters, documents, things that could hurt people. Or heal them, I countered. Don't you think it's time our family stopped hiding who we really are? Rosie stood up. I'm coming with you. You can't just fly off to Italy, Mom protested. Watch me. I showed her my phone screen. There's a flight tomorrow night. Perfect timing, too. Laura's planning that big family gathering at the villa next month, isn't she? Peyton. Mom's voice held a warning note. Don't use this to get back at your sister. This isn't about revenge, Mom. It's about truth. About showing Laura that family is more than her narrow definition of it. I tucked the photograph into my pocket. Grandma understood that. Maybe it's time everyone else did too. Mom looked between us, then sighed deeply. The key, she said finally. You'll need the key to open it. I'll get it for you. As she disappeared down the attic stairs, Rosie turned to me. You know this could blow up in our faces, right? I thought about Laura's dismissive words, about Grandma's secret love, about all the ways our family had twisted itself to fit into acceptable shapes. Maybe it needs to blow up, I said. Maybe that's the only way to build something real. Back in my studio, I spread the old photograph across my drafting table, studying every detail under the bright work lights. My fingers traced the outline of Isabella and Maria, their joy radiating through time. This is it, I muttered, grabbing my sketchbook. The idea had been forming since we left the attic, and now it poured onto the page in swift, sure strokes. My phone buzzed. Laura's name flashed on the screen. Ignore. Another buzz. Rosie this time. I answered immediately. You need to check your email, she said without preamble. Someone sent us something interesting. I pulled up my laptop, clicking on the new message from an anonymous address. The subject line read, About Isabella and Maria. Holy shit, I breathed, scanning the contents. Are you seeing this? The part about them living together in Florence for 3 years? Or the part about the secret art gallery they ran? My hands shook as I clicked through the attached photos. More images of Grandma and Maria, newspaper clippings about their gallery, letters I couldn't quite read in Italian. Who sent this? I wondered aloud. No idea, but there's more. They're saying Maria's family still owns property in Florence, just blocks from our family villa. I grabbed a fresh sheet of paper, sketching faster now. Rosie, I know exactly what we're going to do. Why do I feel nervous when you say that? Because you know me too well. I stepped back, examining my rough design. I'm going to create a mural for the villa, right in the main hall where Laura's planning her precious family gathering. A mural of what? Our real family history, not the sanitized version we've been fed. I started adding details to the sketch. I'll use architectural elements to tell the story. The Florence Gallery's facade, the villa's original structure, all of it woven together with their story. Laura will lose her mind. Maybe. Or maybe she'll finally understand what family really means. My pencil moved faster. I'm thinking 3 panels, floor to ceiling. The first showing Grandma's early life in Florence, the second depicting her time with Maria, and the third... The third? The third showing our family as it really is. All of us. No masks, no pretense. Rosie was quiet for a moment. You know this is either brilliant or completely insane, right? Sometimes they're the same thing. I added final touches to the sketch. Can you translate these letters? My Italian's not good enough. Already on it. But Peyton? What if this anonymous person is trying to cause trouble? My phone buzzed again. Another email. This time with a single line. Check the basement of the gallery at Via Romano 24. Bring the key. They're trying to help us, I said firmly. They must have known Grandma or Maria, or they're catfishing us into some weird Italian scam. I laughed despite myself. That's oddly specific paranoia. A knock at my studio door made me jump. I opened it to find my mother standing there looking uncomfortable. Mom? She held out a small, ornate key. I thought about what you said. About truth. Her hand trembled slightly. Your grandmother. She was the strongest person I knew, but she was also the loneliest sometimes. I took the key, feeling its weight. Why didn't you ever tell us? Because I thought I was protecting you. All of you. She glanced at my drafting table, eyes widening at the sketches. What are you planning? Something Grandma would have wanted. I showed her the design. A way to tell her story. Our story. Mom traced the lines with her finger. She always said you got her artistic eye. She paused. Laura called me again. She's worried you're going to do something rash. Like tell the truth. Like hurt the family. The family's already hurt, Mom. We just pretend it isn't. I gestured to the anonymous email. Look at this. Someone out there knows our history better than we do. Doesn't that bother you? She read the email, her face paling. Via Romano 24, that was their gallery. Maria's family sold it years ago, but what? But your grandmother kept paying the rent. Every year until she died. Mom looked up at me. I never knew why. My phone buzzed one more time. Another anonymous message. Time is running out. The truth won't wait forever. I'm flying out tomorrow, I told Mom, with or without anyone's blessing. She studied my face for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Your grandmother would be proud of you, you know. She always said you were the one who saw things clearly. I hugged her, breathing in her familiar perfume. Will you help me? With the mural? She stepped back, wiping her eyes. I'll do better than that. I'll tell you everything I know about Isabella and Maria, starting with why they really opened that gallery. I grabbed my sketchbook, ready to capture every detail. As Mom began to speak, I could almost hear Grandma's voice in my head. The truth about our family would change everything. She was right, and I was about to prove it. The gallery wasn't just a gallery, Mom said, pacing my studio. It was their cover story. I looked up from my sketchbook. Cover story for what? For helping people escape. She sat down heavily on my work stool. In the 1950s, Italy wasn't kind to anyone who was different. Your grandmother and Maria used the gallery's basement to hide people, help them find safe passage to other countries. My pencil stopped moving. They were running an underground railroad? Of sorts. They called it the Rainbow Path. The art sales funded everything. Travel documents, bribes, whatever it took. A sharp knock interrupted us. Laura burst in before I could answer. What are you doing? She demanded, waving her phone. Why are people sending me strange emails about Grandma? Mom stood up quickly. Laura, calm down. Calm down? Someone's spreading lies about our grandmother. She turned to me. This is your doing, isn't it? Some twisted revenge because I hurt your feelings? I met her glare. They're not lies, Laura. Mom was just telling me. Mom? Laura spun around. You're involved in this? Sit down, Mom said firmly. Both of you. It's time you heard the whole story. Laura remained standing. I don't want to hear any stories. I want this stopped. Like you stopped considering me family? I shot back. That's different. Is it? I grabbed the original photograph. Look at this. Really look at it. Laura snatched the photo, then froze. This can't be real. It's real, Mom said softly. That's your grandmother with Maria. They ran an art gallery together in Florence, and they helped people escape persecution. No? Laura shook her head. Grandma was married to Grandpa. She was normal. Normal? I stood up so fast my chair toppled. Define normal, Laura. Because from what Mom's telling us, Grandma was a hero who saved lives while hiding who she really was. She married Grandpa to protect herself and Maria, to keep their work going. You're making this up, Laura whispered, but her voice wavered. The blue box? Mom said suddenly. In the villa's basement. It has everything. Letters, documents, lists of people they helped. Your grandmother wanted you both to know eventually. She just ran out of time. Laura sank into my chair. Why didn't she tell us? Because of people like you, I said, then immediately regretted my tone. Because she was afraid of being judged, of being cut off from her family. Sound familiar? Tears welled in Laura's eyes. That's not fair. None of this is fair. I softened my voice. But it's true. And I'm going to tell her story, Laura. All of it. The mural, Mom explained. Peyton's designing it for the villa. You can't, Laura protested. The family gathering is exactly when it needs to happen. I showed her my sketches. Look at this design. It's not just about Grandma and Maria. It's about all of us. Every secret, every struggle, every triumph. Our real family legacy. Laura studied the drawings, her hands trembling slightly. Dad will never allow it. Wilfred knows more than you think, Mom said quietly. He and your grandmother were close. Why do you think he always defended Peyton? Laura's head snapped up. What? He understood, I realized aloud. He knew about Grandma? Mom nodded. They used to talk for hours, about acceptance, about love, about what family really means. Laura stood abruptly. I need air. Laura, wait. Mom called, but she was already gone. I moved to follow, but Mom caught my arm. Give her time. This is a lot to process. We don't have time, I said, showing her the latest anonymous email. Whoever's helping us says there's more evidence in the gallery basement, but we need to hurry. Something about the building being sold. Mom reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. Then you'll need this. Inside was a plane ticket to Florence. Mom, I bought it this afternoon. Your flight leaves tomorrow morning. She handed me another ticket. This one's for Rosie. I already called her mother. What about Laura? Let me handle Laura. Mom touched my cheek. Just promise me something? What? When you find what's in that basement, be gentle with how you share it. The truth can heal, but it can also hurt if wielded like a weapon. I thought about Laura's tears, about Grandma's lifetime of secrets, about the people she and Maria had helped. I promise, I said. But Mom, why did Grandma keep paying the rent on that gallery all these years? Mom smiled sadly. That's one mystery I never solved. But knowing your grandmother, there's a reason. There was always a reason. I picked up the old photograph again, studying the way Grandma and Maria looked at each other. Whatever I found in that basement, whatever secrets were still hidden, one thing was clear. Our family's story was far from over, and I was about to uncover its most important chapter. This can't be the right place, Rosie said, staring at the crumbling facade of Via Romano 24. The once grand gallery entrance was now hidden behind graffiti-covered plywood. Florence buzzed around us, tourists and locals weaving through the narrow streets, oblivious to our mission. The summer heat pressed down like a heavy blanket. The address matches, I said, pulling out Grandma's key. Help me find a way in. We circled the building, finding a side door partially hidden by overgrown ivy. The key slid in perfectly. I can't believe we're breaking and entering in broad daylight, Rosie whispered as we slipped inside. It's not breaking and entering if you have a key. Pretty sure that's not how Italian law works. Our phone flashlights revealed a space frozen in time. Dust-covered frames leaned against walls. Empty pedestals stood like ghosts in the gloom. The basement, I said, spotting a door behind an old desk. That's where the email said to look. The stairs creaked ominously as we descended. The basement was larger than expected, with several rooms branching off a main area. Over here. Rosie called from one corner. There's something carved in the wall. I joined her, running my fingers over the faint markings. It's a rainbow. The rainbow path, Rosie breathed. Your mom was right. A metallic glint caught my eye. Behind a loose brick, something blue peeked out. The box, I said, carefully extracting it. Grandma's blue box. My hands shook as I inserted the key. Inside, dozens of letters spilled out, along with photographs, documents, and a small leather-bound journal. Peyton? Rosie said, reading one of the letters. These aren't just from the 50s. The newest one is dated last year. What? She handed me the letter. The handwriting was shaky but familiar. My dearest Isabella, I read aloud. Another year has passed and still I keep our secret. The gallery remains safe, though I fear its days are numbered. The developers grow more insistent. Perhaps it's time to tell them, your granddaughters. They deserve to know how many lives we saved, how many families we kept together. Especially Peyton. She reminds me so much of you. With eternal love, Maria. Maria's still alive? Rosie gasped. Before I could respond, a voice spoke from the shadows. See, she is. We spun around. An elderly woman stood at the foot of the stairs, leaning on a cane. I've been waiting for you, she said in accented English. Though I must admit, I expected you sooner. You're Maria, I whispered. She nodded, moving closer. And you are Isabella's granddaughter, the architect, the one who sees truth. You sent the emails? My grandson did. I can barely work a telephone. She smiled, and suddenly I could see the woman from the photograph. But the messages were from me. Why now? I asked. Why tell us after all this time? Maria lowered herself onto an old chair. Because this building will be demolished next month. Our sanctuary, our history, it cannot disappear without witness. The people you helped? Rosie said. What happened to them? Many thrived. Started families, built lives. Maria gestured to the walls. Their stories are here in these bricks. Every rainbow mark represents a soul saved. I counted at least 30 marks. And Grandma? Did she... I struggled to find the words. Did she love your grandfather? Yes, in her way. He was a good man who understood love comes in many forms. Maria's eyes grew distant. But Isabella and I, we had a different love, one that changed lives. Including mine, a new voice said. We all turned. Laura stood on the stairs, looking shell-shocked. How did you... I started. Mom told me where you'd be. She descended slowly. I followed you from the airport. Maria studied her. Ah, the traditional one. Isabella worried about you most. Laura flinched. She did? She feared you would let rules become more important than love. Maria held out her hand. Come, let me show you something. She led us to a small room off the main basement. Inside, hundreds of photographs covered the walls. Wedding pictures, baby announcements, graduation ceremonies. Every person we saved, Maria explained. Every family that flourished because we dared to love differently. Laura touched one of the photos. These people found happiness by being true to themselves. I finished softly. Just like Grandma wanted for all of us. Tears rolled down Laura's cheeks. I've been so wrong. About everything. Maria took both our hands. Isabella kept this place. Paid the rent all these years because she believed someday her family would need to understand. That love, all love, deserves to be remembered. I looked at my sister, seeing real understanding in her eyes for the first time. Help me tell their story, I said. Help me make the mural something Grandma would be proud of. Laura squeezed my hand. Yes, she whispered. It's time our family knew the truth. A little higher on the left, I called out, directing the workers positioning the first panel of my mural. The villa's main hall echoed with activity as we raced to complete the installation before the family gathering. Laura appeared beside me, carrying 2 cups of espresso. The colors are perfect. They match the original gallery's facade exactly. Maria helped with that. I accepted the coffee gratefully. She remembered every detail. 3 weeks had passed since our discovery in the basement. We'd spent every day since then working on the mural, with Maria sharing stories that brought each panel to life. Speaking of Maria, Laura said, have you told her about tomorrow night? Not yet. I'm worried it might be too much for her. She's stronger than you think. Laura smiled. like someone else I know. The sound of breaking glass made us both jump. One of the workers had dropped a frame, sending shards skittering across the marble floor. Careful! I rushed over. Those photographs are irreplaceable. Sorry, Signora. He apologized, helping me gather the scattered images, copies from Maria's wall of saved families. Everything okay? Wilfred's voice boomed from the doorway. He crossed the hall, taking in the nearly completed mural. This is incredible, Peyton. You knew, didn't you? Laura asked her husband. About Grandma and Maria? He nodded. Isabel told me years ago. Said she saw something in me that reminded her of her Giovanni. Someone who understood love doesn't always follow rules. Why didn't you tell me? Wasn't my story to tell, honey. He wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Besides, you needed to learn this lesson your own way. My phone buzzed. A message from Rosie. Maria's granddaughter just called. We might have a problem. What now? I muttered, stepping away to call her back. Maria's not feeling well, Rosie explained. She's thinking about skipping tomorrow night. No, she can't. The whole point is to bring everyone together, to show the family. I know, but she's nervous. Says it might be too much drama for an old lady. I glanced at the mural, at the panel showing Maria and Grandma in their gallery, young and fearless. Text me her address. I'm going over there. Now? But the installation? Laura can handle it. I hung up and turned to my sister. Can you finish directing the workers? There's something I need to do. She must have seen the determination in my face because she just nodded. Go. I've got this. 30 minutes later, I stood outside Maria's apartment in central Florence, catching my breath after climbing 4 flights of stairs. Before I could knock, the door opened. I wondered how long it would take you to come, Maria said, eyes twinkling. Come in, stubborn one. Her apartment was small but elegant, filled with art and memories. She led me to a balcony overlooking the city. Beautiful, isn't it? She said, pouring 2 glasses of wine. Isabella and I used to sit here and dream of a world where we could love openly. That world exists now, I said, thanks partly to what you both did. Perhaps. She sipped her wine. But some things never change. Family judgment, societal pressure, which is exactly why you need to come tomorrow night. I pulled out my phone, showing her photos of the mural. Look what we've created. Your story, Grandma's story, the stories of everyone you helped. It's all there. And you think this will change minds? I think it already has. Laura's different now. She's trying to understand, to make amends. Maria studied me over her glass. You remind me so much of Isabella at your age. So certain you can fix everything. Maybe I can't fix everything, but I can honor what you built. I took her hand. Please come. Let the family see you're not just some secret from the past. You're part of our story. She was quiet for a long moment, looking out over Florence's rooftops. You know what your grandmother's favorite saying was? What? Courage isn't about being fearless. It's about being scared and doing it anyway. She squeezed my hand. Very well. I will come. Really? On one condition. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. I get to bring the wine. That family of yours sounds like they could use a good Tuscan red. I hugged her, breathing in her familiar perfume, the same one I'd noticed in some of Grandma's old scarves. My phone buzzed again. Laura had sent a photo of the completed mural installation with a message. Mom's crying. The good kind of crying. Get back here. Come on, I said to Maria. Let's go see it together. The workers are almost done, and I want you to make sure we got every detail right. As we descended the stairs, Maria hummed an old Italian song. You know, she said, Isabella always said the truth would set us free. I think she'd be proud to see it finally happening. Tomorrow night, I promised. Everyone will know exactly how proud they should be. But as we stepped into the warm Tuscan evening, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were still missing something crucial. Some final piece of the puzzle that would make everything clear. The villa's main hall buzzed with conversation as family members gathered from across Italy and America. Aunts, uncles, cousins, some I hadn't seen in years, all mingling beneath the covered mural. "When can we see it?" My young cousin Sophia tugged at my sleeve. "Mom says it's about great-grandma Isabel. Soon," I promised, checking my phone again. No messages from Maria. Laura appeared at my elbow. "She'll be here. Stop worrying." "Easy for you to say. You're not about to blow up decades of family history." "No, we're about to restore it." She handed me a glass of wine. "Mom's keeping the older generation distracted with photo albums. Perfect timing for—" The room fell silent as Maria entered, leaning on her grandson's arm. She wore an elegant blue dress that somehow made her look both fragile and formidable. Aunt Teresa dropped her wine glass. "Madonna Santa. Is that—" "Impossible," Uncle Robert whispered. "She looks just like—" Mom stepped forward, taking Maria's hands. "Welcome home," she said simply. Maria smiled. "It's been too long, little Sadie." The tension broke as dozens of questions erupted at once. I caught Laura's eye and nodded. She clinked her glass for attention. "Everyone," she called out, "if you'll gather round, my sister has something to share." I moved to the center of the room, heart pounding. Many of you knew our grandmother Isabel as a traditional Italian wife and mother, but there was so much more to her story. Our family's story. I gestured to the covered mural. "Tonight, we honor the truth." At my signal, Rosie and Wilfred pulled the sheets away. Gasps echoed through the hall as the 3 panels were revealed. The first showed young Isabella and Maria in their gallery, surrounded by hidden doorways and rainbow symbols. The second depicted the families they'd saved, their faces emerging from darkness into light. The third showed our family as it truly was. Every generation, every love story, every triumph and struggle. "Dio mio," Aunt Teresa breathed. "The gallery. I remember Papa talking about it." "Your father was one of our helpers," Maria said, moving closer to the mural. "He kept our secret, helped us forge documents." Uncle Robert stepped forward. "But you and Isabel, were you in love?" Maria's voice was clear and strong. "Yes, and your brother Giovanni loved us both enough to help us continue our work. The people we helped," I added, "were like us. Different. Afraid. Looking for acceptance." I touched the second panel. "Every face here represents a family that flourished because 2 women were brave enough to create a safe haven." "But why keep it secret so long?" someone asked. "Because some truths need time to be heard," Laura said, surprising me. "Sometimes we're not ready to see what's right in front of us." She looked at me. "Sometimes we hurt the people we love because we're afraid of what's different." Silence fell as everyone absorbed the images, the stories, the truth finally unveiled. Then Sophia spoke up. "Is that why you changed your will, Aunt Laura?" All eyes turned to my sister. She flushed but stood straighter. "Yes, I was wrong to judge what makes a family. Grandma Isabel and Maria showed us that all love, creates family." Maria moved to stand beside me, touching the mural gently. "Isabella wanted you all to know eventually, but she worried it would tear the family apart. Instead," Mom said, "it's bringing us together." Suddenly, Maria's grandson rushed forward. "Nonna, your medicine." Maria wavered and I caught her arm. "Are you okay?" She smiled weakly. "Just tired, dear, but there's one more thing." She pulled an envelope from her purse. "Isabella left this with me. Said to open it when the truth finally came out." My hands trembled as I took it. Inside was a deed and a letter. "The gallery," I read aloud. "She left the gallery to all of us?" "Read the letter," Maria urged. "My dear family," I began. "If you're reading this, it means you finally know our story. The gallery was never just a business. It was a sanctuary. Now it's yours. Make it a place where truth can live in the light, where love in all its forms can flourish. The rainbow path never truly ended. It just changed direction. With eternal love, Isabella. Tears flowed freely now, not just mine, but across generations of our family. Even Uncle Robert, who'd never cried in his life, wiped his eyes. "So," Laura said, her voice thick with emotion, "who's ready to save a historic building from developers?" Laughter mixed with tears as family members began sharing ideas, memories, hopes for the future. Maria squeezed my hand. "You did it, Kara. You brought the truth into the light." "We did it," I corrected, watching my family come together in a way I'd never seen before. All of us. But as I looked at Maria's tired smile, I realized this wasn't quite the end. There was still one more truth waiting to be told. "We need to talk," I said to Laura as the family celebration wound down. The villa's garden was quiet except for crickets and distant laughter from inside. "About Maria?" She settled onto a stone bench. "I noticed too. She's not well, is she?" I shook my head. "Her grandson told me it's heart failure. She's been holding on for this, to see the truth come out, like Grandma did." Laura's voice cracked. "That's why she told you about the blue box when she did." "Exactly. And now—" I pulled out my phone, showing Laura the gallery blueprints I'd been working on. "I have an idea, but I need your help." She studied the plans. "A community center?" "More than that. Look at the design. It honors the original gallery's architecture but adds modern elements. Meeting spaces, counseling rooms, art studios. A place where people can still find acceptance, still get help." "The rainbow path reimagined," Laura mused. "But this would take serious money." "That's where you come in." I took a deep breath. "You're the financial wizard of the family. Help me make this work?" Before she could answer, Mom appeared in the garden doorway. "Girls, Maria's asking for you both." We found Maria in the library looking frail but peaceful in an armchair. Family photos spread across her lap. "Ah, my architects of truth." She smiled. "Sit with me. There's something you should see." She handed me a photograph I hadn't noticed before. It showed Grandma Isabel holding a baby with Maria beside her. "That's Mom," Laura gasped. Maria nodded. "Isabella and we didn't just save other families. We created our own. Sadie, your mother, was our daughter." "What?" I stared at Mom, who was crying softly by the doorway. "But how—" "Giovanni agreed to be listed as her father," Maria explained. "It was the only way back then, but Isabella and I raised her together in our own way." "Why didn't you tell us?" Laura asked Mom. "I didn't know myself until I was older," Mom said, joining us. "And by then, the habit of secrecy was so ingrained." "But now," Maria said firmly, "no more secrets. No more hiding. That's why I need you both to promise me something." "Anything," we said in unison. "The gallery, make it live again. Not just as a memorial, but as a beacon. Show people that family is something you build, not something you're bound by." I showed her my designs. "Already working on it." Her eyes lit up. "Perfect. Isabella would love this." She touched the plans with trembling fingers. "And the top floor?" "Living spaces," Laura said suddenly. "For people who need temporary shelter while they figure things out. Like a modern rainbow path." Maria beamed. "You see? You two together, this is what we fought for. The freedom to be who you are and still be family." "I'll handle the funding," Laura declared, "between the family investments and some strategic partnerships. And I'll oversee the renovation," I added. "We can preserve the historical elements while making it functional for today's needs." "Good girls," Maria whispered, her eyes growing heavy. "Isabella was right about you both." Mom stepped forward. "You should rest, Maria. We can continue tomorrow." As we helped her to her room, Maria grabbed my hand. "Remember what Isabella always said about truth? That it would set us free?" "No," she smiled. "That it was like architecture. You need both strong foundations and room to grow? Later that night, Laura found me in the hall, staring at the mural. I've been thinking, she said. The gallery project. It needs a director, someone who understands both the history and the vision. You offering? Actually, I was thinking of Rosie. She's perfect for it, and she hesitated. I'm making some changes of my own. Oh, Wilfred and I are moving to Florence. The family business could use a European branch, and she touched the mural. I want to be part of this, really part of it. I hugged her tight, remembering all the years of judgment and distance between us. Welcome home, sis. Also, she pulled back, grinning. You might want to check your email. I had my lawyer draw up new papers this morning. I checked my phone. There it was. Laura's updated will with a simple addition. To my sister Peyton, who taught me that family is built on love, not convention. Laura, don't cry, she warned, even as she wiped her own eyes. We have work to do, a legacy to build. Looking at the mural, at Grandma and Maria's love story, at the lives they saved, at our family's true history, I felt something settle into place. The revenge I'd sought had transformed into something better. Redemption, restoration, rebirth. You know what this means? I said to Laura. We're going to need a bigger mural. She laughed. Good thing I know an architect who specializes in telling the truth through art. Above us, Grandma Isabel and Maria smiled from the mural, their love finally free to light the way forward.